welcome back to the stand. Today I figured I would take some time. I actually have to transition Dennis's clothes out from what he was wearing from 6 to 12 months to what he is wearing now. So I thought you guys would keep me company because it is a little bittersweet, and at the same time would talk about something on a similar topic, which is all about family and families growing, the kids growing up, being a mom of 2 boys, and all that entails. So come on and join me. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and take all these down. I was going to kind of film and talk as I did this part, but I just can't logistically figure that out. So just wanted to show you. These are all how his clothes were hung up. These are 6 to 9 and 9 to 12 clothes. Yeah, he's definitely not fitting into those now. So we need to switch that out. I'm really not sure how I'm going to do it. I feel like up until a year, the hanging up of clothes makes the most sense. I'm not sure if that continues to make the most sense after that. I feel like I have this urge to use the drawers more, and we have a really big dresser for him with really nice drawers. So I might try that, see how that works out, and then, you know, if there's overflow or I find that's not working, may kind of go back to the system as well. Who knows? But that's kind of the plan. But yeah, I figured you'd join along and we'd say goodbye to some of these adorable outfits. Let me see. Oh. Guys, I'm already too emotional. Already too emotional now. Oh my goodness. My first 4th of July. Okay, we gotta get going. Okay, so here's the deal. I had a Q&A a little bit ago down when we were in Florida, and I got all kinds of questions, and I addressed quite a few of them in that video, but there were a lot that I didn't. And one thing I promised was that I was going to do more concentrated videos on some of those questions that kind of grouped together on certain topics. And one of the topics that was most popular, and one that I think I really had a lot to say about but just didn't have enough time in that video, was about just family dynamics and being a mom of 2 boys, and what the transition was of just being a new mom, and then what the transition was of 1 to 2 kids and all of that. So I went back and referred to those questions that I got, and then asked again just today if you had any more. You guys, of course, had some great questions, so thank you for submitting. And this time, for the first time, I actually sat down, went through all the questions, put them kind of in an order of how I'd like to address them, gave myself some talking points, and that's kind of where I'm at, because I feel like sometimes I go into these Q&As like, oh, it needs to be authentic, like I need to see the questions for the very first time on video. And what I have found for myself is that that doesn't really always work, because I am someone that does like to really think of my answer, and sometimes that takes time, and I speak more confidently and eloquently when I have had the time to think out what I want to say. And so I still think that my answers are authentic, if not more, because there's nothing I'm leaving out, and I'm not rambling on and just getting nervous and trying to answer the question. I'm really answering it the way that I think is the best answer from my heart. So that's what we're gonna do. Joe is hanging out with the kids in the basement, so Mom's getting some time to get things done and to talk with all of you. Okay, as I said, as I'm doing this, I am putting away clothes. Oh my goodness. Okay, got my big pile over here. So where do I begin? I think the biggest question is just what the transition is like between 0 to 1 and 1 to 2. And yeah, it's certainly probably what I was most interested in, both when I was thinking of being a mom and kind of starting to go through that process. And then also when I was thinking of adding another one to our family. So I completely understand that, sometimes this question is out of just curiosity, and a lot of times it's out of, fear and anxiety that you're having of like, what's it like? Please tell me that it's going to be okay. And I will say that it will be okay no matter what. Of course, the biggest thing in parenthood that will be like probably the reoccurring theme in this video is that parenthood is completely unexpected. So what I'm going to share and what my transitions were like very well will not be what you can expect. And yeah, you just can never predict how it's going to be like. There's certain things you can prepare for, but the biggest thing is that you can never fully prepare. So to answer the question first of 0 to 1 and kind of in thinking about it in comparison to 1 to 2, I would say for me, and I really do think it's different for every parent, because not only is it just different in how they adapt to having 1 or 2, but also each kid is different. So things you take into account is if there were more health issues or problems with the first or second, more sleeping issues that, again, were nothing that you could do. It was just a colicky baby, or, again, any type of health problems that may have been causing it, or you may have been in a different home, in a different family situation. There's so many different things. But I will say for me, the transition from 0 to 1 was much more jarring and like earth-shattering than 1 to 2. It was just something I don't think you can ever fully prepare for, and it's not a bad thing. I don't want to scare you off in the slightest, but they always say like, you'll be tired, and I was like, oh yeah, like I've pulled all-nighters all the time in college, and maybe even in high school and even after. I can totally do this. And then once you're in it, you're like, oh no, this is different. Like, I am pulling all-nighters and then not being able to recover and being needed all day long, and issues coming up, and just having to continue to provide for your child. And it is a lot. And so I was used to getting 8 to 9, maybe even 10 hours of sleep each night. I am definitely someone that enjoys their sleep, and it can be a heavy sleeper. That, of course, has changed quite a bit in becoming a mom, but yeah, so it was a lot for me. And the other thing I will say when thinking about my transition is that, again, it was very personal to me, in that I had personal things going on in my life at the time that also caused the experience of transitioning from 0 to 1 to be that much more, I don't want to say traumatic, but yeah, just a lot. It's kind of just personal things that happen that cause me to experience it in a different way and to have difficulties with it. Not only was it just a lot of changes, but again, specific to the differences in kids, I would say that because Lee was in the NICU and how it affected things moving forward, that it was just harder, and that nursing was very difficult because it was not a easy transition for us to nurse. He was fed the bottle for quite a while. He was supplemented. And so it took about 2 months for us to even get into like somewhat of a good place. And even still, seeing how differently Dennis nursed and how more natural it did feel, how more comfortable I felt, that I kind of had been through the learning curve, but that also that they were just different nursers. Lee was a snacker, and he didn't take a pacifier, and he cluster fed, and Dennis didn't do any of that stuff. So that was much easier. And if anything, I'm so glad. I always say, I'm like, thank you, Lee, for getting all that out of the way. And thank you, Dennis, for saying, you know what, you've been through that. I'm not going to make you do it again. So I lucked out in that way, in that I experienced it when I only had one child, and I didn't once I had the second. And I know that that can be different for each parent as well. So with the transition from 1 to 2, the biggest thing is that you do feel more prepared. Even though things are going to change a little bit, there are going to be things that you need to either relearn because you've blocked out the whole experience. Having a different kind of baby, you need to relearn and learn new things of how to parent this child or baby. And then there's also, of course, just the dynamic change and now needing to balance more of your time across more people. But the confidence I think I had going into with the second, that I understood a little bit more what to expect, did make that transition a little bit easier. Now, the big question is, were you more tired and stressed with the second? And that is kind of the overall answer to all of this, is that the transition for me from 0 to 1 was more jarring, more unexpected, more mentally exhausting, more scary, and I felt more lost. You know, all of that was there with the first, but the second is more tiring or more stressful. But the only thing is that you're more used to being tired, and you feel more confident in that. Although you're more stressed, you know that each stage has a certain amount of time and that you've made it already through those stages with your first, so you know you're going to make it through the second. So again, although I am more tired and I do feel more stressed often, I do feel more overwhelmed, I still, at the end of the day, sit and feel more centered in that. I'm like, you know what, but I know that this stage that, let's say, Dennis is going through, like an example is right now, as soon as we got back from Disney, he has just been into anything and everything, and he's trying to communicate with us more. So there's a little bit of a struggle we're having with him right now. But and in those moments, feeling overwhelmed and dealing with that while also dealing with Lee, I can just hear my inner voice being more solidified and strong for me and saying, hey, you know, Lee had these moments too, and look where he is now, and you know, just remember how he was a few months later, and those kind of things. And so it is helpful. I don't know if that really fully explains kind of the transitions. I know even still having thought this through, I feel like I'm not fully expressing it correctly or forgetting things, but that's kind of the overall gist and how I felt between the two different transitions. I talked a little bit about how nursing and the learning curve was different, but I know I got a question about just how nursing is while also having a toddler that's running around. And it can be difficult, yes, because with your first, you were just able to watch TV or sit and read a book and just sit around all day, especially if you were on maternity and kind of during that phase. And yeah, there's absolutely none of that with the second if you are watching them full time. And so it's just something you kind of adapt to. Again, I feel I was fortunate in that Dennis did take the pacifier, so nursing, and he was a quicker nurser, so nursing for him was more just about nourishment, and I didn't have to nurse him a lot more throughout the day. But I've also seen moms that have made that work for babies that kind of do nurse more frequently. Of course, it was much easier when they're younger, and although they're nursing more, they do not get easily distracted, so you are able to balance it. Once they start to, at least for mine, once they hit the 5-month mark, somewhere around there, they do get easily distracted, so I had to be more creative in trying to figure out ways to find quiet time to nurse Dennis while Lee was still awake. Having Lee sit in his room and read, you know, I was able to try things like that, and it wasn't always easy. Sometimes he would barge in and Dennis would be like, oh, hey, and you know, take a while to refocus. But yeah, it's definitely not as much of like the, oh, we're just cuddling and enjoying this bonding moment. It is more like, okay, how much time do I have? And let's go, okay, yep, I'll be right there, and all that. But it's all kind of the beauty of parenthood. I wouldn't say, you know, I think in some ways I miss those moments, and that's probably why I nursed Dennis more at night. But also, you know, it was all part of the fun of parenthood too. So I wouldn't say it spoiled the moments I have with Dennis. And actually, I'm even nursing Dennis longer, and I hear that a lot actually. I think because of COVID and because we are well into the flu season right now, that's partly why I think I'm continuing nursing longer. And he still seems interested enough, so we'll just kind of continue going. I'm not sure how much longer we will, but for right now, we're still trucking along. We're not doing it as often. I am supplementing with milk more and more, but we still do about 3. He is kind of waking up in the night, so maybe a little bit more with the night wakings. But yeah. And on that note, I won't leave you hanging any longer about more kids. I got this question quite a bit, and I can answer this not with 100% certainty. I think that was another question I got about many different aspects of a growing family, is in looking to become a new mom, was I 100% sure? And wanting 2 kids, was I 100% sure? And now I'm wanting more kids, am I 100% sure? And the way I can answer that as well is that, again, with parenthood, I don't think you can ever be 100% sure about anything. You can just try to make the best decision that you feel from your gut and from your heart, and try not to second guess it or dwell on it too much, and just kind of move forward. And so on that note, it's interesting. I think before kids, and probably even still a while into having Lee, I kind of always had this dream of having 4 kids. And then I think just in knowing the lifestyle we wanted and the level that we wanted to reach in our careers, which then meant the level of income that we expect to come in, we realized that I don't think we could provide what we would want to for 4 kids, and that is just us. I know a lot of people don't want to provide as much and are much more happier about just having more kids than, doing the vacations and, worrying about paying for college and all those other things. So, it certainly just has to do with what is the most important to you. And so that's why, this answer is just how I feel, and really I can only impact your answer by helping you be more informed about all the things to consider and helping you come to your own decision. With all that being said, and considering all that, we actually, for a while, even early into my pregnancy with Dennis, had thought that we would have 3 kids. And then it was really strange, actually. This is one of the only times where it was almost like some weird sign that we had. And again, I'm not saying that this sign means that it's the end all be all, but when we went into Dennis's 19-20 week anatomy scan, where we did learn the sex and that he was a boy, it was really strange. And that I remember, I think, even walking down the hallway, we hadn't even left the building yet. We were walking down the hallway from that appointment, having found out, and we both looked at each other and we were like, I think this is it. And we had gone into that appointment being pretty certain that 3 was it. So it was really weird. I don't know what it was. When it does come to the sex or the gender reveal and all that, I really try to not think too much or dream up too much the idea of either gender before I knew what it was. And I really surrendered to this idea that what is meant to be is meant to be, and it really is going to be fate or destiny of what our family is going to be made up of. And that really helped me in just feeling comfortable with whatever it was and not feeling disappointed in any way. And it really was. It was just, both times were just so exciting in that, like, certainly you wonder, like, oh, what would it be a little bit, but then as soon as you found out, you're like, this is it. Like, this is how it was meant to be. Like, I was meant to have 2 boys. They were meant to be brothers, and this is our family. And that was always the most exciting part about it. And I know I get a lot of questions of, will you try for a girl? Are you, do you want a girl? And all of that. And I think I just kind of go back to that. And again, in that, there certainly is the idea of never say never, even though for right now, I think we have decided that this does feel right, and we do feel complete with our 2 boys. And then there are those fleeting moments of, yes, sometimes I think that, you know, there are going to be experiences that we will miss out on in not having a daughter, but then there are also experiences that I would have missed out if Dennis was a girl, and that we wouldn't have experienced seeing two brothers grow up together 3 years apart. We wouldn't have experienced, you know, so everyone's missing out on something, and that's how I try to look at it, that, you know, I personally do not think that having a boy and a girl is the perfect experience. They all have different things that they bring to the table, and again, it comes down to that idea that this is how I was meant to experience life, and, you know, not to dwell on the things that I will miss out on. And not only that, but, you know, you're starting to get into the area of stereotyping what your kids are going to be like. I have no idea. Every time I worry about if I do have fleeting moments of like, oh, because sometimes the only time things do come up of that I think I would miss out on, it has nothing to do with like their whole childhood. It's the idea of what the dynamics will be with in-laws and things like that. Sometimes I worry about that, but then I say, you know what? I don't know how that's going to be. Maybe neither of my kids will get married. And sometimes I think of it in that way of like, I'm going to have daughter-in-laws. I might not have daughter-in-laws. I don't know. Like, you just don't know what those dynamics will be. And so why worry about it, and why stress, and why try to work really hard towards that if you really have no idea what it's going to be like, and that you'll always, again, just be missing out on something. So it is what it is. But, of course, you do you. If that's something really important to you and you really want to try for that, then all kudos to you. But that's kind of just how I have come to terms with the dynamics of my family.
I love you, Mama.
I love you, Lee.
Where are you?
I'm in Dennis's room. Where are you?
I'm in the living room.
Oh, wow. I love you.
Have fun.
Thank you. I'll be down in just a few minutes.
Have fun.
Thank you. He's talking to me on the monitor. He's so cute. So one thing I would suggest for those that are on the fence, especially when they're in the middle of a pregnancy or starting to expect to enter that stage of having your last child, or what you think may be, to go into it with that expectation, even if you're on the fence and you're not sure. And the reason I say this is because I've heard from other moms that were unsure, that they just kind of went through that pregnancy and were like, okay, yeah, you know, we're on the fence, so I'm going to still expect that we're going to have another. And then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, whether it be a decision that they had to make as a partnership or because of health issues or whatever it may be, they felt like the decision was stolen from them, and they felt that they were not able to kind of have that closure of saying, yes, this is my last child and I am experiencing each moment for the last time, and kind of taking all that in. So even when we were thinking of 3 and we were on that fence, because I knew we were on the fence, I did go into that entire experience, my entire pregnancy, and I continue to go through each experience with Dennis with the expectation that it is the last time I'll be experiencing each of these moments. And that is so difficult, and that is one thing I will say in answering the question of, am I 100% sure? No, I'm not, one. And do I feel 100% right about it? No. It of course hurts, and I still yearn to have more kids, and I do yearn to experience the baby and infant and cuddly stages again. At some point, I do remember reading somewhere a mom saying, you never feel 100% done. Whether you've had one kid, whether you've had 2, whether you've had 5, whether you've had 12. I even think, you know, you think about the Duggars or that other family, the Bates, they both had 19, I think, and they still wanted to keep going. So I think all moms, maybe not all, but a majority of us never feel done. And some of us 100% do feel done, and that is okay too. And some of us never want to have kids, and that's okay too. But I know that there are a good part of people that never feel done and never want this stage to end. And so I kind of really did think about that when thinking about growing our family, and that, you know, I'm always going to feel this way. So although this is coming from my heart, and I sometimes am guided very much by my heart, I needed to really balance both of these and think, okay, I'm feeling this way, but I have the understanding I'm always going to feel this way. So am I going to make my decision of whether I should feel my family's complete, or whether I should move forward because I'm having this longing feeling and not feeling like I'm done? Or should I think about all the other things that are important to consider as well when making that decision? And so as you can see, I'm putting these clothes away. Like, this is devastating me. Like, it literally hurts. Like, I feel a pain in my heart saying goodbye to this stage, and that this has all just gone by way too fast. And I can't believe if Dennis has completed our family, that, you know, we are now just moving on from the baby stage, and that's it. That I have completed that part of my life. But there's also the excitement of that, okay, well, we have completed that, and now we're moving on to new chapters, and we can focus on those. So it's an ongoing warfare, I think, for a lot of moms. And so that is something you should consider as well if you're feeling that way. Another great question, and this is definitely one that I think I asked the most or looked and Googled the most, was age differences. And so our kids are just shy of 3 years apart. I basically just say 3 years apart because it's really only 2 months. And I will say that we were very purposeful in that timing. That was the age difference we wanted, and we were very fortunate with the second time around that the timing we had planned for worked out exactly as planned, whereas it didn't as much with Lee. Although we were very fortunate in that one too, in that it was only a few months off. For us, for whatever reason, I'm not even sure if we could fully come up with a concrete reason. We just felt good about a 3-year school gap. I just felt like, especially when you're thinking about middle school and high school, it allowed both of them to have a little bit of independence in that regard, because those ages can be there's so much angst, there's so much growing and all of that. I wanted, thinking about Lee, I wanted him to be well into high school and have those experiences on his own before Dennis came along. And then, of course, Dennis would experience a good part of his high school the same way, and middle school also. But, of course, there's also, and this is the other thing, when it comes to age differences, just the same decision as how many kids you want, as well as the decision made for you of what genders or sexes you will have. There are pros and cons to all of it, and there will be experiences your kids will miss out on with whatever age gap you choose. Maybe they would have really enjoyed being very close in age and going through high school together. I made that decision for them because of, I don't know, some idea we had in our head. But it wasn't only that had us come to that decision. That was actually probably a smaller piece of it. The other part was we just needed the time to recover, and that time really worked well for us. Again, with the first, it was earth-shattering for us, and there was a lot going on and dynamics on the outside of our family that was kind of influencing it, and that I feel like I needed to get a handle on. I wanted to get a better handle on my sleep again and on my mental state and all of that. And so that is the amount of time I felt we needed to do that. It was the amount of time we felt we needed that we wanted to go to Disney and experience Disney just as a couple, as well as Disney with just Lee. It was also what we wanted, in that for whatever reason we were like, we just want one last summer with the three of us. And so that was where the timing played out, and that we said, okay, we know for sure we want at least the summer of 2019 to be the three of us. And then when it comes fall time, we felt comfortable, and that was when we would feel ready. And it really all worked out. Do I wonder how our dynamics would be if we had tried sooner and had their age gaps closer? Yes. Are there times when I think, should we have waited longer? Because here's an example of, you can prepare and you can plan, and you can say, this is the age gap I'm having because this is exactly how I want it to play out and this is exactly how it's going to happen. Well, it's not going to be that way, because I'll tell you an example for what happened to us is that another reason that I thought the 3-year gap would work well is that I thought once Dennis was approaching 1 year, Lee would be in preschool. Well, I don't know why I didn't consider that there would be a pandemic. Like, well, Ashley, come on. Like, why? You should have known. Yeah, so that happened. And that was completely unpredictable, as well as all of parenthood is. And so that dynamic and that plan, that dream I had, it was shattered, and it has not worked out the way that we thought it would. But we are still moving forward, and life goes on, and we are so happy to have the 2 kids that we have. So it is what it is. But sometimes you can't dwell too much and have your decisions decided too much by exactly how you want things to pan out, because they're never going to fully pan out the way you want. The one thing I will say is, again, you will never feel 100% sure in your decision ever, even once it's happened, even once you have them. I probably, till the day I die and I watch my kids grow, will think, did I do the right thing? And I will never know the answer. Okay, so already I've talked so much and I've kind of finished the pieces that I wanted to do for right now. So I still have more questions to go. There were a lot about just the transition dynamics, not only of me as a parent, but between the kids. So how Lee reacted to all of it, how we've adapted with their changing behaviors and their different traits. How we deal with one-on-one time, all those different things, how I balance my time. And I think that could be a whole nother video. And it's actually one that I'm working through right now, because Dennis is becoming more mobile and needs more attention. We have found our dynamics change drastically in just the time that we have come home since we were in Florida. And so we actually made a very concerted effort to make a family schedule and routine that is different than anything we've ever done before, and we're just playing it out right now and working through it. And it's something that I do actually want to share in a future video, because I know I am someone that always am curious about what other people are doing for routines, and it's something that I think I'm learning a lot from, and I want to share that knowledge with all of you. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. My battery's about to die. I hope I can make it through this. But the other thing I wanted to mention is that a lot of people did again ask the question of when I felt 100% ready or 100% sure on a certain amount of things. And I just took some notes here. I wanted to say that I didn't want to answer the question of when I felt ready to have kids, because it is such a big question and I want to really think about it, and I haven't had the time yet to do that. But it's also something that, again, I think everyone has a different answer for that, and this is an area where I think I'd love to do like a collaboration. So I would like to know if you would like to see me collaborate with other moms or dads on this topic or other topics. And I also want to ask, if that is the case, if you are a mom or dad who would like to collaborate with me. And if that's the case, then comment below, DM me, email me, and let's kind of work something out, because I think I'm not the only voice on this, and I would love to kind of bring more voices together and more answers together to help moms who have these questions, or dads, and help them see that there are so many ways that you can look at it. And I was a moment too late. I was trying to wrap it up. But I want to make sure I speak clearly and end this without me stopping mid-step. It doesn't even have to be, this is one topic, as I said, about moms and dads, but of course there's also topics about anything really that, so if any of you are interested in any kind of collaboration, certainly share. I will say, in the stage that I'm in as a mom right now, collaborating is a little bit difficult in that I am definitely one of those students. I am that student right now when doing a group project that probably has a little difficulty in coordinating time and contributing. So I might be biting off more than I can chew right now, but I'd still like to just get the idea rolling and the ball rolling and see if it's something that, if not now, in the near future, it's something that we could do. So if it's something you are interested in seeing, but not so much in contributing or collaborating, share below. And if you are both interested in seeing and being a part of the collaboration, then also reach out either in the comments or, as I said, in a DM or in an email, and we can connect and figure all that out. It has been so great talking about my family with all of you and kind of more of the conceptual, the decision making, the uncertainty of all of it, but also the beauty of it, in that what is meant to be is meant to be. And I am so incredibly happy with my family, and even though each transition has been difficult and it continues to have its difficulties, it also continues to have such beautiful moments and has made me a better person, even though sometimes I feel like less than a person because of the lack of sleep and the stress that comes with all of it. But I am growing each day, and I will also say that all of you are helping bring more confidence to me and helping me grow as well. So I want to thank you for that. And since I have all the battery in the world and I'm not trying to rush off, the one other thing I will say is that I do feel we are right now in one of the most difficult stages we have yet been in because of the needs that Lee has as becoming older and wanting to learn more, wanting to continue to engage with us a lot, and then also being stretched with the needs that Dennis has, and that before he was walking, he was very much easily able to be put in a playpen or would just kind of go with the flow, and he, as kids do, is now saying, hey, no, like, I'm here too, and I have things I want to say and things I want to do and things I want to eat. And so we are just kind of learning that dynamic. And so I think that is why I have pulled it back a little bit on the channel, and that I am doing more of the once a week videos along with the lives, because we are finding ourselves pulled in every direction. And there are days, in recent days, I've even talked to Joe, like, can we do this? Can I do this? Because it does take a lot of time to do this channel, and it takes a lot of time to be a stay-at-home mom. And so I always said that I would continue to do this channel as long as it would not impact the other responsibilities I had. And sometimes I am feeling like I'm on the edge of it impacting it. But Joe continues to be such a big support, and I will say that you all continue to be such a big support that I want to make this work. So I am going to continue to try my hardest, and this is in no way saying that I am ending the channel. I don't want you to think that, but just that I want you to know that even though I'm doing all this stuff, I am struggling, and I am working through these things, and I am constantly trying to make our days better and use my time wisely, and some days it's better than others. And so I wanted you to know that, and that I don't want to give you any false ideas that this is smooth sailing, and you know, just if you would all feel like, how is she doing this? There's no way I could do that. You know, I don't know how I'm doing it either, and I'm not doing it perfectly. So there is that. But anyway, I need to get back to my family, as I said, and maybe I'll just sneak down there right now and let you take a peek at my beautiful family of 4, because I've been talking about them this whole time. All right, let's go say hi. Hi, Lee.
Hi.
How are you? Who is this?
Dennis.
And who is he? He's your, I don't know.
He's my baby.
Your baby,
My baby pleasure.
do you love him?
Yeah. He's
What-
the chubbiest.
He is the chubbiest. We call him,
Chubbiness.
yeah, your chubbiness instead of your highness. We call him your chubbiness. What do you love about Dennis? Oh, you love that about yourself? I love that about yourself too. You are cute. What do you love about Dennis?
I love playing with him.
You like playing with
I
him?
love his chubby cheeks.
His chubby cheeks, I love them too. Dennis, what do you love about Lee? I love how he takes care of me. He's always thinking about me. I love when he wakes me up from my naps. gives me lots of hugs and kisses. And he's lots of fun. He tells the funniest jokes.
Hey, can I hear a funny joke?
Go to the Jungle Book.
I've never seen the Jungle Book, no.
We did.
Skipper Lee.
Skipper Lee. And of course, I can't leave out this guy, my partner in life.
And crime. That was a video.
Good. I talked all about
Da, 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 da,
the Grinch. You saying Daddy?
da, 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 da.
I talked all about all you guys and how we came to the decisions we did and how life has been and how life may be, but we will never know.
Mama?
Bye!
Bye.